The galaxy was alive with light and sound. Millions of eyes from hundreds of alien races stared at the grand arena floating in the cold dark of space. The arena was older than any empire, older than most stars. For centuries it had been the place where the strongest warriors came to fight, and the weak came to lose. Today the crowd was louder than ever, for today there was something new, something that made even the oldest species lean forward in curiosity. A human had stepped into the arena. Her name was Captain Elena Ward. She was tall for a human, but compared to the massive alien beside her, she looked fragile, almost breakable. The alien, a champion from the Karthak Dominion, was 3 times her size, his body armored with thick scales. His claws could rip through steel. His voice when he laughed made the ground shake. The crowd roared with excitement. Bets were shouted. Glowing credits changed hands. Almost every alien believed the same thing. The human would lose. She won't last a second, one alien hissed. Fragile bones. Weak muscles. What is she doing here? Another asked. A human against a Karthak? This will be over before it begins. Elena said nothing. She only stood in the center of the arena floor, calm and steady, her dark eyes fixed on her opponent. Around her the air shimmered with energy. Above, a giant countdown clock lit up, ready to mark the start of the battle. The announcer's voice shook the stadium. Warriors, prepare! When the countdown reaches 0, the duel will begin. The alien champion snarled. He raised his arms to show his claws, and the crowd screamed in delight. He wanted to end this quickly. He wanted blood. He wanted to prove that humans had no place in the games of the galaxy. But Elena did not move. She stood like a statue, hands loose at her sides, her breathing slow and controlled. She looked small, but there was something strange in her eyes. Something sharp. Something unshaken by the cheers, the laughter, or the fear. The countdown began. 10. The alien stepped forward, his heavy feet shaking the ground. His scales glowed under the lights of the arena. He grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. He was already imagining victory. 9. The crowd's chants grew louder. Karthak! 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 They believed the fight was already over. 8. Elena tilted her head slightly. Her eyes studied the alien with quiet focus. It was as if she could already see the moves he would make. 7. Somewhere in the high stands, a group of humans sat together. They were silent. They knew how the galaxy saw them, weak, new, untested. Yet they also knew something the aliens did not. 6. The alien raised one arm, claws shining in the light. He roared, and the sound echoed across the stars. 5. Elena did not flinch. Her lips curved into the faintest of smiles. 4. Whispers moved through the crowd. Why is she smiling? Does she not know what's about to happen? She is mad. 3. The alien crouched low, ready to strike the second the countdown ended. His muscles rippled with power. He wanted to tear her apart before she could even blink. 2. Elena closed her eyes for a moment. She breathed in slowly, deeply, calm, focused, ready. 1. The arena was silent now. Every eye watched the human. Every alien was ready to cheer when she fell. 0. The clock had not even finished its flash when something strange happened. Elena did not look afraid. She did not even look tense. She looked certain of something no one else could see. And that was when the whispers turned into silence. Because for the first time, the aliens felt doubt. For the first time, they wondered if maybe, just maybe, the human knew something they didn't. The fight had not even begun. But already in that single moment, it felt as if the outcome had been decided. Elena opened her eyes, calm, sharp, confident, and she whispered, too soft for the alien to hear, but strong enough for history itself to remember. You've already lost. The echo of Elena's whisper still lingered in the air. Few had heard it, but the way she stood, the way she looked at her enemy made the crowd uneasy. Aliens who had been laughing now grew quiet. Her confidence felt unnatural, wrong, as if she knew something no one else did. The alien champion, Karthak, shook off the strange feeling. He roared again, his voice deep and violent, filling the arena with power. He raised his clawed arms as if to crush the silence with raw strength. The crowd cheered for him again, eager to see blood spill, but Elena didn't move. The announcer's voice thundered once more across the sky. The duel has begun. Let the challenge be written in the stars. The alien wasted no time. He lunged forward, claws flashing like knives. His speed was shocking for his size, his body moving with brutal force. The crowd screamed with excitement. This was what they came for, but then Elena was gone, at least that's what it looked like. One moment she was standing still, the next she was a blur of motion, stepping aside with impossible timing. The alien's claws slashed empty air. The ground cracked where his strike landed, but the human stood untouched, calm, steady, watching. The crowd gasped. Some aliens blinked in disbelief. How did she move like that? She shouldn't be this fast. No human can. But Elena did not give them time to think. She stepped forward not to attack, but to observe. Her eyes locked on the champion. Every breath he took, every twitch of his muscles, every shift of his weight, she read them all. To her, his body was an open book. Karthak growled, shaking with rage. He swung again, faster this time. Then again, and again. Each strike was powerful enough to crush stone, to break walls, to kill most beings with a single blow. But none touched her. Elena slipped past them, always one step ahead, like she already knew where each strike would land before it happened. The crowd began to murmur, unease spreading like fire. She isn't just dodging, she's predicting him. No, impossible. Humans don't have such skills. Then explain why he cannot hit her. Karthak roared with fury. His pride burned hotter than his strength. He was the champion of the Dominion, undefeated for years. He had crushed beasts, warriors, even machines. And yet this fragile human treated him like a child. Stand still and fight, he bellowed. His voice shook the arena, but Elena only tilted her head, her calm expression unchanged. Why should I fight when I've already won? The words hit harder than any weapon. The silence in the arena deepened. Karthak's anger turned into desperation. He gathered his full strength, drawing on the ancient power of his kind. His scales glowed red, his muscles bulged, his claws sparked with energy. He became a storm of rage and power. The air itself trembled as he charged. This time the crowd believed it was over. No one could withstand that kind of power. No one, but then Elena moved again. She didn't just dodge. She stepped into his attack. She walked into the storm with perfect timing, slipping past the claws, past the glowing scales, until she was standing right in front of him, inches from his face. Karthak froze. His claws hovered in the air, ready to strike, but something inside him cracked. For the first time, fear entered his eyes, because in that moment he realized the truth. She wasn't surviving. She was controlling. Every move he made, she had already seen. Every strike he tried, she had already predicted. She wasn't reacting to him. He was reacting to her. The crowd could feel it too. The silence grew deeper, the tension heavier. It was no longer a fight. It was a lesson. And the lesson was simple. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was dangerous in ways the galaxy had never understood. Elena leaned close, her voice steady, sharp, unshaken. You think strength is everything. But humans win long before strength matters. Karthak stumbled back, his claws trembling. The crowd erupted, not with cheers but with disbelief. Everything they thought they knew about humans was shattering before their eyes. The duel was far from over. But the outcome was already clear. The fight had begun. Yet Elena had proven she was in control before the first blow ever landed. And in the silence of the arena, one truth grew louder than all the noise. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the predator. The arena still shook from the champion's missed strike. Dust rose in the air, settling across the massive floor. The alien crowds had gone from laughter to silence, their voices stolen by confusion. A single question echoed in every mind. How was the human still standing? Elena did not look like a victor, yet she carried herself like one. Calm, sharp, certain. As if she had already read the final page of the story while everyone else was still lost in the first chapter. Karthak, the Dominion's undefeated champion, trembled with fury. His claws twitched, his breath came in ragged growls, and yet he could not touch her. Every strike he launched was answered before it began. Every attack was countered not by force but by foresight. But how? The answer lay far away, deep in the memory of Earth. Years before Elena ever stepped into the arena, humanity had been preparing. They had no vast armies like the Karthak. No towering war machines like the Ryloths. No psychic gifts like the Seraphim. Humans had only themselves. Fragile bodies, limited strength, short lives, but they had one advantage no alien had ever understood: the mind that adapts. From birth, humans trained not only in strength but in chaos. They learned to survive storms, wars, hunger, and fear. They learned to expect the unexpected, to find order inside disorder, to see patterns where no one else could. On Earth, Elena had been a soldier, but more than that, she was a strategist. She had studied alien movements, alien biology, alien reflexes. She had spent years watching recordings of Karthak warriors, breaking down every swing, every strike, every roar. To her, this battle was not chaos. It was a pattern she had already solved. Back in the arena, Karthak lunged again, faster, harder, desperate. His claws cut the air, but Elena had already stepped aside. She did not dodge at the last second. She moved before he even struck. The crowd gasped. She knew where he would move. No one can, but humans could, because humans had lived their whole history predicting danger. The hunter stalking in the shadows, the storm coming over the horizon, the enemy preparing a strike. Survival was not luck, it was prediction. It was reading the world 1 second ahead of everyone else. Elena smiled, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. She whispered not to her enemy, but to herself. Humans don't wait for the blow. We move before it comes. Karthak staggered, his pride unraveling. Never had he faced someone who fought like this. To him, fighting was about strength, about speed, about domination. But to the human, the fight had ended the moment it began. The announcer, usually loud and proud, now sounded hesitant. The human, she has yet to strike, yet to bleed, yet to fall. His voice cracked under the weight of disbelief. The crowd began to turn. They had mocked the human when she entered. Now they leaned forward, whispering, uncertain. Fear touched their voices. If she can see him before he moves, what else can she do? Is this their true power? Elena finally spoke, loud enough for the arena to hear. Her voice was clear, sharp, unshaken. You thought this was strength against weakness, but this is not strength. This is understanding. Her words cut deeper than any blade, because in that moment everyone realized something terrifying. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. Every empire had seen them as fragile, as prey, as nothing. But they had missed the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were studying, watching, waiting, learning. And now, the galaxy would pay for its mistake. Karthak roared again, louder than before, trying to silence his own fear. He swung with everything he had, claws glowing with raw energy, but Elena moved like a shadow, weaving past him. She did not fight his strength. She unraveled it. Every miss weakened him. Every failed strike drained his power, and still she had not even raised a weapon. The crowd began to chant now, not his name, but hers. Softly at first, then louder, Elena, Elena, Elena. It was not just her name they were chanting. It was the name of a species the galaxy had ignored, a species that had now revealed its secret. Humans did not win by chance. They did not win by power. They won because they always found the path no one else could see. The champion fell to his knees, breathing hard, beaten by his own failure. Elena stood before him, untouched, unbroken, and with a calm voice. She declared the truth that would echo across the stars. Humanity wins before the fight begins. The arena was no longer filled with laughter. The great alien voices that once shouted mockery now fell into uneasy silence. Only the sound of Karthak's ragged breathing echoed across the battlefield. The champion of the Dominion, the undefeated predator of 100 duels, was on his knees. His claws, once steady as steel, trembled with rage and fear. Across from him stood the human, small, fragile, untouched, Elena. She had not struck him once. She had not raised her hands. She had not needed to. Yet here he was, broken in spirit before the battle was even half done. The crowd could feel it. They had come to watch a slaughter, but what they saw was something far more terrifying. This was not a duel. This was a revelation. Karthak roared again, forcing strength back into his legs. His pride burned hotter than his pain. He would not fall before a human. Not here, not now. His dominion watched. His people demanded victory. He rose, towering over Elena, his scales glowing red with fury. With a savage cry, he unleashed the secret weapon of his kind. Energy surged from his body, a crimson aura that burned the air around him. His claws crackled with power hot enough to melt steel. The crowd gasped in awe. Many stood to their feet, their faith in the champion reigniting. This is it. The Dominion's true fury. No one can withstand this. She is finished. But Elena only stood still. Her dark eyes never wavered. If anything, her calm grew stronger. She waited, her breathing even, her body loose, her mind sharp. Karthak charged. The ground split under his weight. His claws moved faster than before, a blur of deadly light. He struck at her chest, her throat, her heart. Every blow meant to kill. And still, he missed. Elena slid past each strike, her movements precise, almost gentle. She did not waste energy. She did not struggle. She flowed like water around stone, untouchable. The crowd went wild. Shock replaced belief. Fear replaced excitement. They could not deny it anymore. The human was not surviving. She was controlling. Then it happened. For the first time, Elena struck back. It was not with claws or fire or weapons. It was something simpler and far more terrifying. As Karthak lunged again, Elena stepped forward into his path. She lifted one hand and pressed two fingers against his chest, right over his heart. A tiny motion. A small touch, but it stopped him cold. The great champion froze. His claws hovered in the air, unable to move. His whole body locked in confusion. The crowd gasped. Silence swept over them like a wave. Elena looked up into his furious, trembling eyes and whispered, "Checkmate." The word carried across the arena, louder than thunder, sharper than steel. Karthak stumbled back, clutching his chest. His breath came in sharp gasps. He felt it, not pain but truth. She had seen through him. His strength, his fury, his pride, it was nothing before her insight. Because Elena hadn't just fought him. She had solved him. Every strike, every roar, every ounce of power had been predicted, broken down, stripped of its meaning. By the time he attacked, she already knew where he would fall. The galaxy had always thought humans were weak because they lacked raw strength. But now, before billions of eyes, the truth was revealed. Humans were dangerous because they saw what no one else could see. They turned battles into puzzles. And puzzles always had solutions. The crowd erupted, but not with cheers. With fear, with awe. What are these humans? If one of them can do this, what happens if an army of them comes? They don't fight with claws or fire. They fight with something worse. Karthak collapsed to his knees again. His power drained, his pride shattered. He tried to rise, but Elena's calm gaze held him still, as if the weight of all humanity pressed down upon him. She spoke once more, her voice steady, echoing across the stars. "You thought this fight was about strength. You thought it was about power. But humans, we win in the mind. Before the fight even begins," the arena shook not from roars but from silence. Every alien present knew deep inside that the galaxy had just changed, because humanity had revealed itself. Not prey, not fragile, not weak but predators. Quiet, clever, and unstoppable. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy's greatest warriors wondered if they had finally met their match. The dust of the arena hung heavy in the air, glowing in the strange lights above. The once roaring crowd was silent, frozen in disbelief. Billions of eyes stared down at the two figures in the center. The champion of the Karthak Dominion was kneeling. His claws scraped the ground, his body trembling, his power broken. For centuries he had been the terror of the games, the monster no one could defeat. And now, before all, he bowed, not by choice but by truth. Standing before him was the human, Elena Ward. She was small in comparison, her frame delicate against the bulk of the Karthak. She had no armor, no glowing claws, no ancient energy burning through her veins. Yet she stood untouched, calm, unshaken. The arena lights caught her face, and for the first time the galaxy truly saw her. Not as prey, not as fragile, not as weak, but as something new, something terrifying. Karthak's voice broke the silence, rough and strained. This is impossible." His claws shook as he tried to rise. His pride demanded he keep fighting, but his body knew the truth. He could not win. Elena looked down at him, her eyes steady. "It was never about strength," she said softly, but her words carried like thunder. It was about who understands the fight before it begins. The crowd gasped. Some laughed nervously, unable to accept what they had seen. Others whispered, fear dripping from their voices. If one human can do this, what happens when more of them come? They study. They adapt. They solve us. This changes everything. The announcer hesitated. For the first time in centuries, he did not know how to declare the outcome. His voice cracked as he spoke. The human stands victorious. The champion of the Dominion has fallen. The words hit the crowd like an earthquake. For a moment, silence. Then the arena erupted, not in cheers but in chaos. Some aliens screamed in denial. Some fled the stands as if humanity itself was a threat that might reach out and pull them down. Others sat frozen, staring at the small human who had just rewritten the rules of the galaxy. Elena turned her back on Karthak and walked toward the center of the arena floor. She did not raise her arms in victory. She did not celebrate. She stood tall, calm, her voice carrying across the stars. Humanity has always been underestimated, she said. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We are not the most powerful. But we are the ones who adapt. The ones who see what others cannot. That is why we survive. That is why we win. Her words were simple, but they struck deeper than any weapon. They echoed in the minds of every alien watching, replaying over and over. For the first time, the galaxy feared humans, not for their power, but for their minds. Karthak lowered his head. His claws dug into the dirt. He had never bowed to anyone, but now before the human he could not raise his eyes. He had been beaten not by force but by something far more unstoppable. He whispered so low the crowd barely heard. Humanity is dangerous. The word spread like fire. Every race, every empire, every ruler watching from across the stars would remember them. The message was clear. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage and they were not weak. They were predators disguised as prey. As Elena left the arena floor, the humans in the stands finally stood. They had stayed quiet, patient, while the galaxy mocked them. Now they raised their voices in unison, a sound that rolled like thunder across the stadium. Humanity! 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 It was not just a cheer. It was a warning. A promise the galaxy had seen what one human could do, what would happen when there were thousands, millions, entire fleets led by minds that could see battles before they began. Outside the arena, in distant worlds, in palaces and war rooms, alien leaders whispered in fear. We cannot underestimate them again. They are not what we thought. If this is their beginning, what will their future look like? The answer was clear, though none dared speak it aloud. Humanity's future was conquest. Not with brute strength, not with endless armies, but with the quiet, deadly certainty of minds that refused to lose. Back in the arena, Elena paused before leaving. She turned once more to face the crowd. Her calm voice cut through the chaos, sharp as a blade. They said I would never win, but humanity proved them wrong. Before the countdown even began, the stadium fell silent. Billions of hearts skipped a beat. And in that silence, a truth was born. A truth that would spread across the stars, impossible to forget. Humanity was here. Humanity was rising, and the galaxy would never be the same again.